Welcome to Behind the Warrior, a podcast presented by the EOD Warrior Foundation. This series will focus on resources, interviews, and topics impacting EOD warriors, their families, and the military community at large.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Warrior. I'm your host, Maria Shabla, and today we are very excited to be speaking with Aaron Harris, a former Army EOD tech, founder of Kilo 9, and inventor of the Bestie Boost. Welcome to the podcast, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, Maria.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So I always like to start from the beginning. Can you tell us about yourself? Where did you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
Yeah, no, it's no problem at all. So I was actually raised in Oklahoma. And I lived anywhere from, Oklahoma. My parents moved back and forth from Texas to Oklahoma. And I was just raised in a small farm town, Thomas, Oklahoma, and southwestern, over by Weatherford, where Southwestern Oklahoma State University is. It's not a big town, 3,000 people, lots of farming.
Nice.
Small, very small family life there. It's pretty cool.
Close to nature?
Oh, yes, very much so.
That's awesome.
Get to get out there in the woods, and fishing and rivers and ponds are all just a couple miles away, just within walking distance of just about everywhere over there. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great way to grow up. So can you tell us, Aaron, what made you get into the EOD career field?
I guess that's a pretty in-depth question. That would have to kind of talk about my parents, really,
Okay.
And my brothers. So I had a biological dad and my stepdad that raised me, Danny Latham and John Harris. So John Harris, my biological father, he was lieutenant colonel of the Oklahoma Highway Patrol.
Wow.
He was very diverse. He was special weapons and tactics. He was to sum him up, he was like every boy's hero. Like this dude worked on race cars, hot rods, and he was just high operating Oklahoma Highway Patrol. I mean, he was the embodiment of this is the guy, and that was pretty awesome. And I never called him my stepdad, but I always called him my dad. Danny Latham. He was a 17-year Army and Air Force veteran, and the military runs as far back as we can trace our family history. It's pretty cool. Even my grandpa on my Harris side, John Harris, he was a Vietnam veteran as well, and he was a young Korean War veteran.
Wow.
And it was awesome guy. So with that right there, these two role models, I was obviously deeply inspired to join the military. And I, was looking in the special operations community. I wanted to just, go for as much as I could. And I found myself looking at EOD, and I was like, that's it. That's the one, man. This is dangerous. It's tough. It's unique, and it was needed. And I wanted to shoot for it. So.
Wow. So deep military roots, and you wanted something dangerous.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
I wanted to test myself, see what I was made of.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, so can you tell us some highlights about your career?
Yeah. Some highlights about my career would be, joining EOD during the right there at the peak of the war. I graduated school early, left off for EOD in 2007, and just to really focus on it, what was the highlights of my career? Well, I made E6 really quick, team leader very quickly. I was chosen for that, and it was a big challenge. First Sergeant Walter Holder, really pushed me to not settle and keep growing. He was a very large instrumental piece in my development as an EOD tech and as a team leader. And he's the one who really gave me the opportunity. And a lot of the other guys, kind of backed down from it. They felt like they were too young for it. But I was like, that's what we're here for. Like, we go to school, we train as a team leader. A team member is just a step in that direction. And I had a phenomenal team leader, and I had a Tom Wilson, and this guy was great. He had trained me up. He was my team leader for the first part of Iraq for the first 4 months, and we were there for a year. And anyways, I'm a quick learner, so I pulled everything I could in from him, and I used that upon what I had learned from others, and quickly molded that in, and man, shot for it, and I got it. Became a team leader pretty quick, and finished out the rest of the deployment another 6 months with as a team leader there in Iraq.
Wow.
So I guess that's kind of like a highlight. Afghanistan was pretty intense. An abundant amount of missions ran there. As far as almost record setting. Our whole platoon. It was very exhausting. But that's what I joined for, was that pushing to that next level. So it was very rewarding and very challenging at the same time. And I definitely learned a lot about myself and what I was made of. Mm-hmm. So I'd say that that's kind of like some of the highlights of it. Mm-hmm. The embodiment itself of all of the community is just what I really attached to. So it's hard for me to say the highlights when I loved, honestly, the mass majority of my time in with my EOD comrades. I loved it. And so it was just it was what I needed. It was what helped form who I was.
Wow. How many years did you serve?
11 years.
11 years. And then I guess what was the catalyst for you to decide that you were ready to leave the service?
That's a difficult one. That's tough. Mm-hmm. The changing climate. I had, I'd seen some poor leadership come in. I'll be very honest with you. It was very sad what I had seen happen to two of my very dear friends in EOD. And I had the opportunity to medically retire out. I'd been hiding a lot of injuries for quite some time in order to do my job, which I didn't mind. That's part of it, It's just you have to be tough, but you also have to know when to take care of yourself. And that balance right there is something that we negate, is that balance. It's you. At least when I was in, it was looked down on if you were to go get help for a series of issues. It had a stain on you. It had like a little tick mark of that's not good, right? Yeah. And so when it came time that I really needed to go get some help, I really need to fix some stuff in my life, not only for myself, but for my family. My family needed all of me, and they were not getting all of me. And through a lot of combat stress, and I had lost a couple of my team members due to some terrible accidents after we came back. That was very difficult on me. And I wasn't healing up from that very well. And that was causing a lot of, I would say, adding to that PTSD. That was on top of that was that loss of life and a lot of questions I had. So it was very tough for me to get through, and just the changing climate, it all made it kind of easy for me just to say, hey, I can step away from this comfortably now. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that was only part of me. I wanted to stay in. I wanted to keep going. I loved EOD. I loved the career. I loved my job, but I just didn't feel too comfortable with the direction it was going. And I wasn't ready for a desk job. I wasn't ready to not really be that engaged. It seemed like things were really slowing down. I just wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, yeah. So the foundation, we're really putting a focus on helping service members transition out of the military. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about how your transition was and some of the struggles or maybe obstacles that you had to overcome?
Oh, easily. That's a very in-depth question, because the transition, a lot of people look at the transition from military work to civilian work. It's far more, it's deeper than that. You have to also understand that you're transitioning with your family. You're transitioning to them, and you've really got to focus on that. And that took, I have a very religious background, that's seated with God for my family. And that's what I would say gave me a lot of peace and comfort in this transition, was moving forward with that, was leaning on that type of understanding and that type of patience and peace that I got from, the word of God, and just, the faith in general. And
Wow.
that did help me. That did help me a lot because there's a lot of unanswered questions that we as humans, we want to understand. I would say more as interesting as EOD techs. We like to understand. We like to know the mechanisms of it. And when you can't even understand the struggles that you're going through yourself and pinpoint it, it causes a lot of frustration, and it caused a lot of anxiety. And I was experiencing an abundance of that in myself.
Mhm.
I was like, man, why do I feel this way? Why am I so scared of this? Aaron, everything's going to be okay. Everything has
Mhm.
always been okay. You've gotten through the worst of it. This is nothing. It's good. It was like I didn't think I was qualified for civilian life. Like
Wow.
how does that happen? How did that thought even creep into my head? All the confidence building stuff we had done through EOD, and all of a sudden I'm like, am I really equipped to be uh, a civilian out there? And am I going to be adequate for my family?
Wow.
And that's tough. That's a tough, hard one. And not only do just we people just struggle with that in general.
Mhm.
I was really worried about that. So the transition itself was, it's still even happening right now. Even
Wow.
all these years later, I
Uh-huh.
am still buttoning things up, and I am dedicated to my family. I am dedicated to my businesses, my jobs that I've done. And I would say that transition is still even happening to this day, slowly.
Wow.
But the biggest parts of it right there at the beginning, getting everything straight for the civilian life, making sure that I've got, bills covered, things that are overlaying, make sure everything's straight over here on the right, and making sure I'm doing a good handoff, essentially leaving the military and
Mhm.
joining, here I am, my family a lot more. So I'm with my family a lot more, and I'm observing a lot more, and they're noticing more issues about me, and
Mhm.
I'm noticing more issues there. So now it's transitioning into fixing things in here and also helping to fix things at that house. So the transition is complex in itself, and it
Wow.
does. I don't know when it'll be done, but I'd say I've gotten
Never.
95% of it. 95%. I'm just chipping away at the rest of it because I still have a large uh, appetite for, I would say, problem solving
Mhm.
that we got. I carried that from EOD. I think that's what also made me just love the career field so much, was we problem solve as
Yeah.
EOD techs. We see a problem and we immediately want to start implementing a solution, developing and then implementing it. And uh, that actually right there in itself is what allowed me to do a good transition in the work field. I found
Mhm.
an area that I was comfortable with, and I was able to grow from there.
Wow. I love your honesty,
Ah,
and I
we gotta be. I learned that towards the end of my career, is not to hide some of the more emotional aspects of it. We have to be, like I said, it's a finite balance. You need to be
Mhm.
tough, you need to be solid, you need to be disciplined, but you also need to know when to take care of yourself and to be honest with, not only like myself, but my troops, my
Mhm.
soldiers, my team members. They need to know, like, hey man, you're going through this. You need to go get help. Hey,
Mhm.
I did it. I struggled with this, man. I battled with, depression,
Mhm.
even I hate to say it, even suicide. I battled with it
Mhm.
because I felt very alone, and there was a part of me that I felt was gone, and I couldn't place it, and I couldn't figure it out. And that honesty is critical. You
Mhm.
got to let other people know. You got to let these younger generations know, and it's okay to be honest and show these things, but and maintain discipline and strength. You can do it all. It's a fine balance.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, what are some of the tools that you used to help get through all of that?
Well, some were picked up along the way. Some were
Mhm.
handed to me. Um, some of the tools I learned I used along the way. One, when I was transitioning out, it was First Sergeant Billy Wilkes, a good friend of mine in EOD. He's retired now.
Mhm.
He encouraged me to go to uh, mental health, and I'm
Mhm.
I'm happy about that. I was very reluctant. I felt very weak and distraught. So the first part of one of the tools is a good support team. Having a wife that's there for you and your family that understands that the journey that you're about to go through. And
Mhm.
so support team is critical. even my first, he wasn't even my first sergeant. He became a first sergeant later on, but he was my platoon sergeant at the time. He was part of my support team.
Wow.
And in that transition. And that's huge. I had my team member, Josiah Moore. He was he was going through his stuff as well, transitioning out of the military through accidents he had been through after he came back, and he was transitioning, so we would speak constantly to one another. And I had two other EOD friends that were, they were already out, and speaking to them and getting to know, bouncing things back and forth off them. So this support team is probably one of the most critical things. The next thing is knowing, honestly, having a good, clear scope of the next step. And that's difficult. That's very hard. The transition from leaving the military is honestly very hazy. I know we have like these SFL TAP, these other things, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not really telling you that much when it comes to like the VA and getting things taken care of. I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate. I had a good lieutenant when I was deployed. Well, he was a lieutenant then. He retired he got out as a captain, Captain Connor Rankin. Man, this guy, solid with his paperwork, took good care of us, took good care of his soldiers. I mean, he was one of the best lieutenants I had ever had. And he was very squared away. And so, he had put a lot of that. He had taken care of us. So that made my transition process through the medical part of it very easy. There was no scrubbing around trying to find all these documents. He had them all put together, everything, every tick report, all of it, as much as we could have. There's a lot that goes on. You miss some stuff, but especially when incidents overlap, so, but it didn't matter. He had everything to its most substantial portion put together already for me. So that allowed me to get a better scope of that next step on as I proceeded through. So that helped. And I wouldn't say it was a good plan at the time for my short-term plan getting out, but I had, I'd already fabricated and built vehicles and, made cool stuff. And I was like, I'm gonna keep doing it. I like it, and I can do it in a good controlled environment if I work for myself. So not everybody has that advantage. So and it was a risk. It was a risk. Like I said, I don't know if it was a good plan, but it was a plan. And hey, by the grace of God, it all worked out, right? And it did. There were some tough times there. So that first year was rough.
Yeah.
As it would be for anybody, whether the plan was good or bad, right? It was very rough. So, so good scope, good plan, knowing what you're getting into, understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. So just maintain those steps through it. And that gave me a little bit of peace and comfort. And of course, relying back on my faith, knowing, hey, God, you got me through all of this. And almost seamlessly.
Wow.
I know you're going to get me through this next step, and putting that faith in God, not being a worry, doing my part and letting God do his,
Yes.
So that's some of the tools that I used.
That is excellent advice, Aaron. Oh my gosh. And I always say that's God's signature. When it's just easy and smooth, it's like, that's
Yes,
it. That's
yes.
so awesome.
So,
I love that. I love that message. So you've had a very interesting career post-service, and you had mentioned earlier that you were fabricating things. Can you tell us a little about your different careers after the Army?
Love to. So when I got out, I started Well Built American Customs. It's an auto body shop, and it's grown to be quite large now. And in that, we've been developing and creating all kinds of cool stuff for all these customers and vehicles. And one of my close friends in EOD had reached out to me, and he had, this is how the companies grew. He was like, hey man, we've got this big problem. We've lost the JERV, the Joint EOD Rapid Response Vehicle, and now we're stuck with the MATV, man. We don't have room for our gear, our combat gear. He's like, dude, this thing is so dangerous. So I went and visited with him and, part of the command team over there and looked at this thing. And I said, I can implement some solutions. So I used a lot of what I had over here at Well Built American Customs, and I crafted another company called Viper Combat Systems.
Wow.
And we had developed a remote robotics loading system. So you don't even have to get out and grab your robot anymore. This thing downloads, you load your robot in it and closes up.
Wow.
And you drive on your way. Yeah,
Wow.
I know. It's nice. So when I saw the MATV, I was like, man, this thing's really cool looking. It's really fast. It's mobile. Not like the JERV wasn't really fast and it wasn't very mobile, but it had all the storage we needed and it was tough. MATV isn't so much. And so I invented a lot of the systems that attach to it that allow us to store all of our EOD gear in there, so we can run a good mission safely with our equipment. And also, found a way to store this new giant robot, the mitter. That thing is heavy, so saving some backs, I hope, eventually. But I through that, I went to Congress. I've worked with Congress to gain funding for EOD for these systems.
Wow.
And we're even working on it now. I've worked with Tom Cole, several of the EOD caucus, and met with them personally on Capitol Hill, to get this taken care of for you all. And
look at you.
Just trying. I still love my community. This is a big defining part of who I am. I don't allow it to totally define me. God defines me, but this is EOD is as of now the most important thing I've ever done. Next to being a dad. Yeah. And that's important. I'm raising humans for the future, and I need to add to competent and confident individuals to the future. So that's important, right? And I'd say EOD is right there. We're changing lives, we're saving lives.
Yeah, EOD is family.
Yeah. It is. It really is. And I love all of it. And I love seeing it develop and grow. And I love watching soldiers that I had develop and grow. I just watched one of them get promoted to first sergeant. He's got his own company. I was like, man, I remember when this guy was an E3. Like, this is so, this is outstanding. He's in charge of his own company now. And that I love it. I love it. It excites me. So not being there and growing through the EOD ranks, at least I'm here adding to it how I can.
Yeah.
So, and I would say, this all ties together. Everything I do just kind of is tied together. And I came up with another company called Kilo 9.
Okay.
And that one right there it's a totally different approach for me. I had, through my struggles of self-healing, I found that a dog was the best thing for me. I mean, it's, without getting all emotional with you, it really is man's best friend. I just lost a very important dog to me that had been through my entire military career. And my wife went and bought me a red Doberman named, we named him Noveski. And after a firearms company, I really like the name. So short name Vesky, or we call him my bestie. So Noveski's my bestie.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And this all, like I said, it all ties together. He'd travel everywhere with me. All the way Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, everywhere I go, this dude's with me, and he's like right beside me. And this guy is happy to see me all the time. He doesn't judge me. I don't know how you can love something so much that never said a word to you, but I think that right there is a part of our heart that we as people really need to tap into. I'm not exactly an emotional person, but this dog has changed my life for the better.
Wow.
And he has left a paw print on me, that's for sure. And through all our travels, I realized that he just wasn't that comfortable. I was like, man, he's getting big. He's 100 pounds. And I'm like, man, you can't just sit in that front seat so easy anymore, buddy. So I was like, there's got to be a solution out there. So I Googled, I looked, and I looked, and I looked. I'm like, there is nothing out there. So I got with my engineers here at my company, same guys that we have that make all kinds of cool equipment and wild vehicles. And I'm like, we're making this. And I drew up this little box. I'm like, here, I already made one out of wood. And I'm like, I started developing it in CAD and I handed it over to them and they took it and they created it into what we have now as the Bestie Boost, modular pet platform. And that's how we met was, is that little system right there. That's made it where I can have my buddy with me all the time and I can travel comfortably and he can travel comfortably with me and it's safe, so it's good for him, good for me. And even in that, I have seen what these animal companions have done for other veterans. I mean, I have guys in EOD and in the civilian field that require that have these dogs for their pets. And I'm telling you what, I've watched it pull them out of some very, very dark places.
Yeah.
Very dark places. And that, I mean, dang near saved their lives. Yeah. An animal that never spoke a word to them. And I watched it give them purpose, give them love. And I'm like, these dudes, pretty hardcore guys, right? I mean, these dudes are tough. They've been there. They've done it. They've seen it all. Multiple deployments. And they've been through the ringer. And here's this animal, this furry, drooly creature that loves them unconditionally, real unconditional love. And I guess that's what gave me, just added to the drive of pushing this company along and developing it. So anyways,
wow.
I know. That's just a string. They all connect. And here we are with this one right now. And this is where we're at right now, and so.
So where did the name Kilo 9 come from?
K9. And I was just trying to think of like, man, I didn't want it to be complex or anything, and phonetics, military, for K, kilo, and then 9, K9. That was it. I was like, that's awesome. And then I had a photo of my boy Noveski taken. And, so he's right there with the Kilo 9 and, it's got his little face there. So
I love it.
I love it too. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
So Aaron, you reached out to the foundation recently after you have developed the seat, the Bestie Boost, and we're actually going to be partnering with you. And for every 20-second Bestie Boost sold, you will be donating one to an EOD tech in partnership with the EOD Warrior Foundation. So can you tell us what that means to you and what inspired you to reach out to us?
If nobody's caught on yet, the 22 is for the 22 that we lose, to suicide. And, being somebody that had struggled with it, I don't take it lightly at all. I had struggled with this, and many of my other friends had struggled with this. And obviously we know some brothers that have succumbed to these unfortunate things. If I can do anything to take away from that number, I will. So if I can make an opportunity for your burden to be lightened by your service dog being with you safely and comfortably and allowing you to travel with them to take stress off of you, I'm there. So that's why I reached out to you guys to have you, because I can't have the in-depth grasp of, or the entanglement that you have with the EOD family. Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy, you got it all. You're there. You guys are there. You have this connection. And so I want to help. So I go to you guys, and and I know it doesn't seem like much, but if I can do anything yet again to take away from those numbers, I'm there. So that's why I reached out to you all to make a little bit of an impact.
Well, I think it's fantastic. And so clearly you are a huge advocate for service dogs.
Yes, ma'am. 100%. 100%. I love it. Getting them properly trained and making sure that they're comfortable with you, and it takes a big load off your chest, your stress, and they really make the difference. They really do.
So can you tell us about Noveski's training? Did you go through an organization or an agency, or how did you guys go through that?
So we had a trainer work with us in the past, and we had implemented those same steps with Noveski. We also utilized another very close, they're actually good friends of ours. They owned Thunder Paws Canine Service Group, and
oh wow,
they train dogs for a wide application. The owner, Daniel and Samantha Hedges, Daniel was retired Air Force canine trainer, and he is phenomenal. This guy can do some amazing things. We've actually handed other Dobermans of ours off to him, and we've seen him take and turn them around, train them. Phenomenal. So he has assisted his tactics in developing and training Noveski for his ability to be a service dog.
Wow. And what does that look like for you two? I don't know that much about service animals.
What it looks like for us is I'm able to take him comfortably anywhere I go. I take him into restaurants. I take him to hotels when I'm there. I take him into Walmart. He goes everywhere. He's at work with me all day, every day.
Wow.
5 to 7 days a week. That's my buddy. He knows. He gets up. He is on the same schedule as me. In fact, he's waiting for me. If I sleep in 5 minutes, he's waiting at that door, waking me up.
Wow.
And he's in there. I mean, it takes me about 10 more minutes to get dressed because, we have to have, he has to love on me. Can't just every time as soon as I sit down and put my boots on, he is over there, man. And he's like, and he starts the day off right. He's never sad. He didn't have a bad dream that disrupted him. He's happy, and he's really happy to see me, and he's happy just the day is existing. And that energy sheds to me, and it helps me overcome whatever it is, shed a little bit of negativity with some positivity from my little furry friend. And well, not so little. 100 pounds isn't so little.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we're gonna have to shed some of this winter weight, by the way. He's getting a little thick. But that's all right. He's over here looking at me. Anyways, but that allows him to take him with us anywhere I go. And he's just right there for me. It's amazing. They know when you get stressed, because I have to answer a lot of questions during the day. I have a lot of work to do, and I have a lot of complex things to deal with. And the healing process from everything is still continuous. And I have bad days, and my buddy's there. He's there to, he knows when I'm having a bad day. He goes out and he finds me, and it's pretty awesome.
Wow. That is so incredible. I love it. So I was going to ask what inspires you, but I think that you've been pretty clear about that, where your inspiration comes from. Yeah.
It's in depth. It comes from family and my second family and EOD, and it grows from there into what we've developed. Almost every bit of our company every one of our companies is in a form of a revolution of assisting with the EOD family or assisting other veterans, and how we're handing back and giving back to the community and building and making the community strong. When I joined, I was amazed with the community that I had joined, the EOD community. Everybody knew everybody. It was a tight, honest community. They loved each other. They were there to help each other. And I watched that start to fade away. I watched that did start to fade away towards the end of my career. And I just didn't want that. I don't want that to happen. I want to keep this strong. I want to keep this going. EOD is a very unique group of individuals. If you don't mind me talking about it, that's another thing that really just, it's awesome. I never felt like I belonged when I was younger. Never felt like I really fit in when it came to school or sports or anything, I just didn't feel like I fit in. I felt like I was kind of an odd duck, I had a very excited mind. I was, I was just different, I'm very physically capable individual, and I'm also a very mentally capable individual. And, you don't meet a lot of people that are like that. Well, join EOD and you find them. You get a bunch of problem solvers that are just a high aptitude and honestly, a very interesting, strong physical aspect as well. EOD, there's nothing like it. You got to be smart and you got to be capable physically. And they're true athletes. You know, they're not jocks. They're not just dumb, strong dudes.
Yeah.
You've got true athletes. You've got people that are physically and mentally capable above, honestly, quite a bit above the average bear. And they stand out why they stand out.
I love it.
I felt like I belonged. I felt that, and I was like, I'm here. I made it.
You found your tribe.
I found my tribe. I found them.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, I just want to thank you so much on behalf of the foundation for reaching out to us for this partnership. I'm excited to start to see the process of EOD techs getting their Bestie Boost and letting their animals ride in comfort and style, because they're quite stylish. I've looked online myself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And the last question I have is, what's on the horizon for you? What are you looking forward to?
Well, we're looking for on all of our companies, growth and development, and of course, adding to the EOD community. So, we're still working on getting all of our combat systems approved. So that's a big thing through, Viper combat systems and Well Built. So, we're pushing those along with the help of Congress and other EOD techs that are retired, getting those pushed through and approved. And, growing and developing Kilo 9, we're also looking for new, cool, we got lists of things to develop and build. And so we're going to keep growing that. And hopefully this, after everything kicks off well, by the end of next year, we're going to be dropping another couple cool devices, beyond the Bestie Boost and our cool collars. And, and everything that we're trying to do, it's very tough, trying to make it all American made.
Yeah. Ooh, great.
And that takes time.
Even
we
better.
We could cheat and go to China, but actually that's what's cool. Everything we're doing is American made.
Yay.
And a lot of it's being crafted by veterans, like 90% of it. We're repurposing and we're helping develop veterans, giving them more purpose. So we're starting programs there. So when people are leaving the military, they can come over here and during their transition process and work and develop and get a new skill and drive on.
Right on, Aaron. That's awesome. Well, okay, so we're going to end this interview with our tradition of asking you a couple of your favorite things.
Sure.
Okay. What is your favorite series to watch on TV? Do you have one?
Oh man, that's tough. I am let's see here. That's kind of tough because I'm kind of a nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say a cross between the Amazon series Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
I know. And, I was a big Game of Thrones guy. And
I love it.
I'm kind of trying to get into the new Halo series. So anyways,
very cool.
I know. Really, we're going from swords and magic to future. I know.
That's cool, man.
Left and right. So that's where I'm at currently.
I like it. Okay. What is your favorite thing to do in your spare time?
Play with my kids.
I've
got 2 older daughters and I've got a son, and we've started this recently. We've been trying to get into it, but we all play Fortnite together. We all log on and it's so much fun. And we we're all in the house in different rooms, and it is a blast. Let me tell you. Yeah.
How old are your kids?
Ella is 14. Yeah, that's my oldest. Emma is 11 and Atticus is 2.5.
Oh, wow. So
yeah,
cool.
So Emma, Ella, we get those mixed up a lot when we start. We just give a blanket statement, girls, we'll figure out that after that step. So,
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. What is your favorite recipe? I've been getting into cooking, so I love to ask about food.
That is totally fine. So I'm pretty good traditional, meat and potatoes guy. My wife is phenomenal. She cooks a lot. She does a lot of health like macro and, physical development, health development, so
Nice.
she cooks some phenomenal healthy meals. But man, I love her sauteed green beans, her her air fried roasted potatoes,
Yum.
little red potatoes, perfect. And
Wow.
she does this butter baked salmon fillet, and like the skin is this perfect amount of crispiness with the seasoning over the top.
Yum.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
that's where it's at. That's where it's at. And it's a healthy meal. It's healthy, so eat it up. But no, she's great. So that's the one that sticks out this week. We'll see what she cooks next week to replace that.
Right.
But that's where we're at right now.
Shout out to your wife.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. She's
That's
amazing.
great. Okay, and the last question is, what is your favorite inspirational quote?
Favorite inspirational quote? That's tough. That's a tough one because I have two, and Civis Pacem Parabellum would be one of them. If you want peace, prepare for war. And that goes back and that goes back to you would if you want it'd be better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Wow.
We have lost that. Every man should be dangerous, but know how to control it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that my dad's instilled in me, is that. But that's one of my I don't know if you want to consider that a quote, but I've always loved the question for when Thomas Edison was inventing the light bulb and it took hundreds of steps. He said, how many mistakes did you make in developing the light bulb? And he goes, they're talking about how many hundreds of variations. He goes, it wasn't hundreds of mistakes. It was hundreds of steps.
Wow.
And that is how we should start looking at things. It's you only fail when you don't learn. Mm-hmm. And we must learn in order to, and you have to experience these things. So they're not failures. Failure is when you don't learn. So.
Wow, that is so inspiring. I love that. And I'd never heard any of those. So thank you.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey, originality there.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you again for the Bestie Boost. I know that's going to be a very appreciated tool. And I'm sure all the animals that are going to receive them will be very grateful. We wish you the very best, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I guess the last thing too, if somebody's interested, where can they go? What is the website?
They can find it at Kilo, the number 9 USA.com. That's simple.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
That's too easy.
All right, Aaron. Thank you again. You take care.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
Thank you for listening to our Behind the Warrior podcast, brought to you by the EOD Warrior Foundation. The EOD Warrior Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization serving the EOD community by providing financial assistance, scholarships, and providing hope and wellness resources for the active duty, reserve, National Guard, retired, and veteran EOD communities and their families. We also honor our fallen and wounded EOD technicians by maintaining the EOD Memorial and Remembrance Garden. We do all this through the generosity of individual and corporate donors and sponsors. If you would like to assist the foundation or support our Behind the Warrior podcast, click the link on our webpage at eodwarriorfoundation.org or contact us at info@eodwarriorfoundation.org. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to tell a friend. The various opinions, beliefs, and viewpoints expressed by guests, contributors, and participants of the Behind the Warrior podcast are their own and are intended for informational purposes only. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions, beliefs, viewpoints, or policies of the EOD Warrior Foundation or its employees and volunteers.